The electromagnetic spectrum. When you tune your radio, watch TV, send a text message or pop popcorn in a microwave oven, you use energy. Such energy travels in the form of electromagnetic waves. So the energy travels in the form of electromagnetic waves. We depend on this energy every hour of every day. Without it, the world you would know could not exist. In Form 2, we learned that transverse waves are waves that result from oscillating electric and magnetic waves, and one of the transverse waves is electromagnetic wave, among others. Other examples of electromagnetic waves include visible light, radio waves, X-rays, gamma rays, UV light, infrared, among others. These waves travels in spans which form a broad spectrum with varying frequencies and wavelengths. They range from a very short gamma rays to very long radio waves. The human eye can only detect a small portion of this spectrum that we call visible light. So human eye can only detect visible light. So when these waves are arranged in the order of their frequencies and wavelengths, they form what we call the electromagnetic spectrum. So we have a figure here where the spectrum has been formed. So the spectrum is basically formed when these waves are arranged in their order of wavelengths and frequencies. Wavelengths and frequencies. So we have a figure here representing the arrangement that forms the electromagnetic spectrum. In the figure, the wavelengths are arranged in their order of increasing value, so that radio wave with the least wavelength of 10 raised to power 5 with the highest wavelength of 10 raised to power 5 is the first. Microwave has a wavelength of 10 raised to power -3. We have the infrared, whose wavelength is order -5. We have the visible light, whose wavelength is order -6. Then we have the ultraviolet with wavelength of 10 raised to power -8. X-rays with 10 raised to power -10. Gamma rays with 10 raised to power -12. So from this, we note that the spectrum has got waves with decreasing wavelengths. From the first one, which is radio waves. The decreasing wavelength can be represented by the wave shown here. On the other hand, the frequency is increasing with radio waves having a frequency of order 4, followed by microwaves whose frequency is 10 raised to power 8. We move to the infrared, 10 raised to power 12. Followed by the visible light, then ultraviolet, X-rays, and then finally gamma rays with the highest, with the lowest frequency, with the highest frequency, and the lowest wavelength. So from here, we note that as the wavelength decreases, the frequency of the waves in the spectrum increase. Properties of electromagnetic waves. Some waves have varying wavelengths and effects. However, all the waves have the following properties. Electromagnetic waves travel in a vacuum with the speed of light. Which is 3 times 10 raised to the power 8 meters per second. Electromagnetic waves are transverse under the classification of waves. The waves are not charged. And therefore they are not affected by the electric or magnetic fields. Due to varying frequencies, they possess energies of different amount. Energy of varying amounts and the amount of energy they carry is guided by the equation E equal to hf, where h is the Planck's constant. Since they are transverse, they do not require a medium. A medium for transmission. Hence, they are able to move in a vacuum. The waves can undergo interference. They can be reflected. They can undergo diffraction. They can be refracted. They also have polarization effects, just like visible light.